Penny, she knew that there was not just speed, but stamina in the bloodline of Secretariat. She had the wisdom to have hope and faith that that little colt might actually go further. And of course it did.
You really have to have a product you believe in and the determination that you can do it. And by God, I was going to do that.
I started riding him 3 months before he ran his first race. The first time I put my saddle on him and galloped him around, it was a little bit hard pulling horse. Eventually, he got going real nice. After the first few times I started working him, I told Lucia and Lauren, I said, you got a racehorse in your hand.
One of the most remarkable things about Secretariat is that not only did he have phenomenal natural ability, anatomically, he was almost without flaw. You couldn't pick him apart.
He has the kind of build when he would walk into the racetrack, he could blow himself up so he would seem infinitely larger than the other horses.
He had a great golden coat, which looked like about a half a size too small, had bulging muscles, good-looking head, great jowl, deep, big, gorgeous shoulder.
You can feel all the muscle in him, and he glide, just like a plane taking off the ground.
You never just pulled out the red horse. If a camera or the press were around, he knew it, and he was aware of his sight lines and camera lights.
First click of the camera, the ears would go up. He'd swell up and pose, you know, like, look at me, I'm the man. I mean, and he was, and he knew it. He put on a show.
He played around a lot. One day there with Eddie Sweat, he grabbed the rake and tried to pull the rake into the stall. And he had it halfway in, and Eddie grabbed the rake, and they were having a little bit of a tug of war there. And another time he did grab one of Eddie's brushes and ran to the back of the stall with it. And Eddie said, come back here, you dude, and give me back my brush. And Secretariat, you know, well, he was really cute doing that.
He was not a horse. He was a human being to me. If he could have talked, oh man, he would have just tell you what he want to do, how he could have do it, and when he want to do it. Every time he get beat, he get in the back of the stall. He don't want to be bothered. He be thinking. I said, what do you be thinking about? Every time he get beat, he come back. In his next race, that he set a record.
And they're off! Lo and behold, he lost the Wood Memorial on the eve of the Kentucky Derby, which ultimately was the greatest thing that ever happened. And plus, there was a real good horse out there named Sham. And I thought, you know, I just don't know if he can beat Sham. I have to admit that coming up to the Kentucky Derby and Newsday, I picked Secretariat to finish third. On the day of the Derby, the horse leaves the gate.
And they're off.
He's dead last.
On the inside, that's Angle Light for the lead. On the outside, Shecky Green.
He starts circling the field slowly around the first turn.
On the outside, Navajo, followed by Secretariat. Warbucks, finally, Twice a Prince.
Down the back stretch and around the far turn, he's moved up and he's flying on the outside. You can see those white and blue silks. And I'm thinking, man, he's back.
Secretariat is fourth and moving up on the outside and is now third and moving at the leaders as they come for the head of the stretch.
When he started picking up horses and when he took them home and run it, I said, well, we got this one.
They're at the head of the stretch and Sham is the leader. He leads it by a length.
You hook Sham and they run head and head together and we're all screaming up in the press box. The place was delirious.
Now and they're in the stretch. It's Secretariat. Sham holding in second. It's Secretariat moving away. He has it by 2.5.
Then he pulls away to win the fastest Kentucky Derby in history, 1:59.2. And the remarkable thing he did that day is he ran every quarter mile in that Derby faster than the preceding quarter. He literally went faster and faster throughout the Kentucky Derby. He was going 36 miles an hour past the stands the first time and 39 miles an hour going past the stands the second time.
The fact that Secretariat would always be at the back and enjoyed the experience of passing everybody, that was something to behold.
Secretariat bobs his head. We're still looking, and they're off. For the early lead, that's Deadly Dream. On the outside, Ecolitage. Then it's also Torsion on the outside. As they pass the stands, Secretariat is last again.
Into the first turn, he was last, circled the field, and by the time they came out of the turn, he was in front of the whole field.
That's the way the horse ran. He came in from behind, and boom.
Sham under an easy hold right now, but here comes Secretariat. He's moving fast, and he's going to the outside. He's going for the lead, and it's right now he's looking for it. Ronnie Turcotte sends him alongside Ecolitage. Here we have it. Ecolitage is the leader, but Secretariat is right alongside.
He's in the Preakness. I ain't never seen him jump and take off that fast. He just make one leap and said, take me to the outside. He said, let's ride.
There's no words. It's something magical when Secretariat turned it on. You're just awestruck at what he could decide to do.
Here comes Sham, second on the outside now. Now it's Secretariat, the leader by a length and a half, with Sham moving into second.
Sham, that was the horse to beat.
The horse was great, but he just met something greater.
They're on the turn, and here's the race, folks. Secretariat trying to hold it, and Sham is driving to get him.
He expected to win. He had taken his career entirely into his own hands.
Head of the stretch, Secretariat, 2.5. Sham under a strong left-handed whip, and he's making it run now, but it's still Secretariat holding on.
He loved to run. He just picked his legs up and just went out and grabbed the earth and just kept running. Powerful horse.
But Ronnie Turcotte has his whip put away, and Secretariat has him put away. He's beginning to draw away. It is Secretariat. He's coming to the wire. He wins it by 2.5, almost 3.
Secretariat won the first 2 races in record time. It wasn't just that he won them. He won them faster than any other horse had ever run them.
When he won the Derby in track record time, it got everybody's attention. Then when he duplicated that performance in the Preakness, it was like, wow, look at here. And then leading up to the Belmont, I think he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and Time and Newsweek. And you just hoped and prayed that he wouldn't stub his toe, because, you know, it was just such a great story. Let this go on and be completed. And then for him to go on and do what he did in the Belmont, just it was jaw-dropping. It truly was.
And so we come up to the day of the Belmont. Sun's just coming up. A little pony girl was taking care of her pony, and she rattled the bucket on the wall, and Secretariat heard that. And he went up in the air, and he started walking around. He was pawing at the sky like this. And he comes down, and he's dancing. He's on like a dressage horse on springs. And his nostrils are flared, and his eyes are big and round, and he's snorting. He literally pranced into his stall, and I thought to myself, oh my God, what are we going to see out there today?
Sham now going in. He's the outside horse, and we're ready to go for this tremendous Belmont Stakes. Everybody's in line, and they're off. Looks like the early lead goes to My Gallant. Yes, My Gallant going for the lead with Price of Prince on the outside. Secretariat away very well, has good position on the rail, and in fact is now going up with the leader.
When they broke, and Secretariat didn't hang back, and he moved right along from his inside post, and then Sham engaged him, and Sham even edged ahead. Part of me thought, well, Sham, you've been a gallant horse. If you can do this, I'm all for you.
Those two together, Sham on the outside. Sham getting ahead in front as they move around the turn with Secretariat second. Then there's a large gap. They're on the backstretch. It's almost a match race now. Secretariat's on the inside, by ahead. Sham is on the outside.
It's kind of tragic to me to think about Sham. He's the only contender up until the moment when Secretariat just decided to defy belief.
They're moving on the turn now. For the turn at Secretariat. It looks like he's opening. The lead is increasing. Make it 3.5. He's moving into the turn. Secretariat holding on to a large lead.
I remember thinking, oh no, he's going too fast.
Secretariat is blazing along. The first 3/4 of a mile in 109 and 4/5.
3/4 and 109. There's champion horses today who sprint that have trouble going that fast just running a 6 furlong race, much less to do that and then still keep going for another 3/4 of a mile. I mean, it's just unreal.
Secretariat is widening now. He is moving like a tremendous machine. Secretariat by 12. Secretariat by 14 lengths on the turn. He's out there almost a 1/16 of a mile away from the rest of the horses.
When he shook off the other horses and was clearly in the lead, that's when it got surreal.
Secretariat is in a position that seems impossible to catch.
He said, I have won your race. Now I'm going to show you what I can do on a 1.5-mile track.
He's into the stretch. Secretariat leads his field by 18 lengths. And now Price of Prince has taken second, and My Gallant has moved back to third. They're in the stretch. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead. He is going to be the Triple Crown winner.
He kept picking up speed, and he hit the finish line 31 lengths ahead of all the other horses. It's almost impossible to believe.
To be on the horse when it's doing that, to be one with Secretariat in that moment of history. Ronnie Turcotte was elevated to the status of first man on the moon. It's that archetypally untouchable.
That race It was really sort of supernatural.
That horse was doing something that horses just can't do.
He's left a mark as a legend. Since I was a kid and since he had ran, all we talk about is Secretariat. You know, if a big horse wins a race, it's like, well, he's not as good as Secretariat.
There's never been any horse that could even warm Secretariat up as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've seen some really good horses since then, but none like him. With each passing running of the Triple Crown, you realize more and more how special he was.
Unfortunately, nobody lives forever, and in his autopsy, of course, it was found. His heart, of course, metaphorically, was twice the size, but biologically.
They found that his heart was well over twice as big as any horse's heart they'd ever seen, which is a kind of fitting metaphor for him.
After he died, I made a mission to try and keep his legacy alive because he was such an outstanding horse. And I really just care for my horse so much that I've just kept honking his horn.
And the great thing about us getting to make movies is that we get to make Secretariat, in some ways, live on.
Secretariat will be remembered for generations. He's immortal now.
There were so many emotions bringing this story to the screen, and I think the most touching one, the one that will linger in my heart the most, is that Penny could be there. It's just amazing to me that Penny could enjoy this.
The common reaction is to love what he did, which we couldn't have forced or created for him. He just picked his moment and just ran because he was loving it.